Disney's Reimagine Tomorrow and Stories Matter campaigns have disappeared from the company website, along with announcements from Sonia Coleman, the chief HR officer of the Disney company. We're wondering if these are actually gone. Is Ding Dong the witch is dead, or has the witch just moved on and is moving out and going under a different name, and she'll be back later to collect those alimony payments? Who knows? Let's talk about it here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place. And here with me is, I'm going to say diversity hire, Mr. VashSky. Vash, name something about you that is diverse so that we can check a box here.
Oh, I see. Well, I am majority Hispanic.
Okay.
So that's a little diverse there.
Okay. Well, is there any term less offensive than... No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke from the office. Okay, so it's a big day right here, something that we've wondered about for a very long time. There's obviously been some recent history of Trump signing an executive order banning DEI in all government offices, and then asking about corporations that are in violation of national civil rights legislation. And now, today, it comes out, Disney's controversial Reimagine Tomorrow and Stories Matter websites removed, redirecting to belonging initiatives in Disney DEI changes. You need to read this article. It is a great article from Marvin Montanaro, and you absolutely have to go check that out. We're going to be talking about some other aspects of this today. But Vash, what was your reaction when you first heard this?
Oh, it was kind of surprising to me because, well, the morning that we were recording this, actually, we were going over some of the changes that they were making. And we were talking about some initiatives that they've now started in the place of some of these other initiatives. But the large bulk of things on the website, for example, on the Walt Disney Company website, were still there and all that. But when I heard that they were actually getting these things removed, essentially in real time,
right?
As we had just talked about it, that was the most surprising thing to me.
Right. So we're not going to go in full chronological order when we go through things here, but that's going to be an important perspective to add. We're going to start with the Axios article, which is not where we started today. So this came out of Axios. This is an exclusive Disney making changes to its DEI efforts. This from Sarah Fisher there. They spoke to Disney and they received an email from Sonia Coleman, the chief HR officer of the Disney company. Big changes, while less dramatic than those introduced by other Fortune 500 companies in recent weeks, speak to the pressure brands faced adjusting to new expectations in the second Trump era. In a note sent to employees Tuesday morning, Chief Human Resources Officer Sonia Coleman outlined ways Disney DEI efforts will change. First of all, other performance factors. We covered this here on That Park Place. Bob Iger's pay is directly tied to hiring minorities over white people. I don't think there's any other way to factually state that. That is factually stating it. He's supposed to hire people that are diverse. And by the same documents language, it says that if you are Black, if you are Hispanic, if you are Asian, if you are not white, if you are not white, and if you are not a male, you're considered diverse. So basically telling him you need to be hiring and promoting based off of race.
And you remember this article that we actually ran here on That Park Place a little while ago, October 28th, 2024. This was from an ex-Disney executive explaining that a lot of these incentives to alter hiring practices or hire based on certain characteristics were monetarily based. So that is no surprise when it comes to Bob Iger's pay and his compensation package. We've known that's kind of been attached to C-suite and how these companies operate for a while. I guess it would surprise people if they didn't already know just how captured this company has been from a cultural standpoint.
Absolutely. And the other thing that we would want to add here, this is a company that has multiple divisions that are dedicated to diversity, equity, inclusion, and we're going to be talking about one of their sensitivity readers who are not referenced in this article, but it's very important that we talk about that. Of course, if you go into That Park Place, you can see some of that in Marvin's article there. All right. Returning over here, First of all, the new website and DEI rebranding. Disney's getting rid of its controversial Reimagine Tomorrow initiative and the corresponding website, which was used to highlight stories and talent from underrepresented communities. The site, which came under fire from conservatives, was replaced externally in December by an updated hub on Disney's corporate website and also on Disney's internal website. I didn't realize that the Reimagine Tomorrow website had actually disappeared. Uh, Vash, when did that disappear? You might have a better idea than I do.
See, that's the thing. When we were covering it this morning, all of the website functions and web portals were still there. It was only until, I believe, about an hour later that all of these things go away. And now you're redirected to this page right here, this inclusion.twdc.com page. So if you look up, let's say you do a Google search for Reimagine Tomorrow or even Stories Matter initiatives, they will all redirect here. And here's the thing, Jonas, this page has changed as well. You actually see right here, this was, I believe this was captured 13th of September 2024, but literally this was the page right before today. This is how it looked. Belong, diversity, equity, and inclusion. At Disney, we want everyone to feel they belong. You can see right there the heading and everything like that. If you go to today's, all that is missing. So, I mean, they're modifying these things in real time as we bring them up on our various outlets.
Right. And I'm also going to point this out. If you go over to Google and do a search, at the time of this recording, it's still indexed here. Stories Matter, the Walt Disney Company, and Reimagine Tomorrow as well. And Stories Matter is a subsection of Reimagine Tomorrow. If you click on Stories Matter, it brings you to that same inclusion.twdc.com, which is a different domain pointing to the same place. The Walt Disney Company.com is the old one. Now it's twc.com. Of course, updating on the fly because it's changed. I'm going to say several times, at least once today, it has changed more than just the transition here. If you go to that Park Place, there are articles that talk about DEI diaries that certain employees had their bonuses tied to whether or not they participated in diversity events at the company. And they would, if at a performance review, you would have to have kept track of your diversity activity in order to qualify for your full bonus. That OPF, other performance factors, it would greatly negate how much you could be paid if you did not participate in basically fealty to the cause here, and let them know how you were participating here. Quite absurd when it comes down to it. Now, here is the real treat that we have for you today. We still have the Stories Matter website here archived, although, Vash, you might have a better view of that. And just so you know, this is and it's kind of absurd here, the kind of things that they're bragging about here. I have nothing against this person in particular here, but the Stories Matter initiative, actually, Vash, I think you have a better view of this. Would you like to bring that up?
Absolutely. You can see right here, this is the Stories Matter page archived from Wayback Machine here. If we scroll down, we can see how they're changing how content is distributed, not in the way that you would from a normal corporation standpoint, but we have to put those disclaimers in front of our content, right? The things that we don't like to necessarily reference here at the Walt Disney Company, all of those things.
This right there, go back up, because we want everybody to understand what this is. To the left of that picture here, as part of our ongoing commitment to diversity and inclusion, we are in the process of reviewing our library and adding advisories to content that include negative depictions or mistreatment of people or cultures. For those of you who don't understand what this is, this was Disney's internal sensitivity reader division. They went around looking for things to be offended by, which is very interesting because there are shows that were even added to Disney Plus around July of last year. I'm not going to say what the show was, but it included a main character of a large franchise as a child putting on brown face. That didn't have an advisory added to it. But they're so bad at their jobs anyways. Mostly they would rely on people on social media saying, haha, you forgot one. And then they would go and take it out here. There it is, right there. Vash, this isn't even the most updated version of this. Go ahead. Show.
Yeah, this is not the most updated version of this. This is Beyond the Screen. We are reviewing our offerings beyond the screen, which include products, books, music, and experiences. This is where it deals specifically with theme parks. While advisories for negative depictions of people and cultures may be added to some offerings, others will be reimagined. In the case of Splash Mountain and Jonas by Adventure, there you go. We're also investing in new ways to better reflect the rich diversity stories in our world. This work is ongoing and will evolve as we strive towards a more inclusive tomorrow. Can't be underscored enough here. This Stories Matter initiative headed by Carmen Smith, who was also the head of the Splash Mountain Reimagining project that turned out to be Tiana's by Adventure, actually gave a couple of updates for us, actually, on the Disney Parks blog. Look at that. Carmen Smith.
That's true.
Right there.
That's true.
And
it was so nice of her to take time out of her day to update us on all of that.
Well, it's really hard to do that, Jonas, when you're in New Orleans, constantly doing research trips. But she found some time, which is really good right here. Also to Forbes, Disney executive, and Imagine Your Carmen Smith says diversity and inclusion keeps Disney relevant. I would say. And how relevant did she actually keep this division right here? Well, if you hear about Ladies and Gentlemen, Boys and Girls, for example, being omitted from spiels, that was part of the Stories Matter initiative. The Disney look and those standards being updated. Not contributed by Stories Matter for sure. But Masks in Adventureland, for example, the recent reimaginings to Peter Pan, and also to, of course, Splash Mountain, all of those things really fell under the umbrella of the Stories Matter initiative, and it has been incredibly harmful.
And Reimagine Tomorrow as an overarching organization here.
These things have been incredibly harmful to, I think, the spirit of the parks. You know, this is why we can't have any edgy things. This is why we're hearing quotes from Kim Irvine out of the LA Times talking about how, well, you know, we want to go ahead and be open to the sensitivities of people. That's why we're going to go ahead and reimagine the bride. And hey, maybe that hang sing too. We can go ahead and remove that. All of that, really, the driving force behind that has been this Stories Matter initiative, which is why it's so incredible that these websites and portals offering an insight into what they're doing no longer exist.
Right. And so, first of all, that is not what Tiana's Bayou Adventure looks like. Not by any stretch. That is something that's kind of cool. That ride right there. And if that had been the ride that was delivered, maybe that's Chickapin Hill plus a little bit more on top of it. But instead, what we got was something that looks like a dirt mound that happens to have a bunch of moss on it. It's really not anything to speak of here. But Stories Matter would like to take credit for the destruction of Splash Mountain. Yeah. Very specifically, they would like to take credit for the destruction of one of the most popular, if not the most popular attraction at two different Disney parks that has been replaced by a ride that is constantly breaking down. And as of the recording of this video, has gone back to testing because they still don't know what is wrong with this ride, apparently. Otherwise, it would be up. One more thing that I want to add, this advisory, these apparently are going away. Here they are bragging about the advisory. Bragging is the only word I can use for this. Talking about this program includes negative depictions or mistreatment of people or cultures. Stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together. And they link to this website that we're on now. There's another one for, this is, by the way, this is as of yesterday, as we're recording this video. So they say Aristocats, not okay. Dumbo, not okay. Peter Pan, not okay. By the way, Peter Pan, they just premiered a new ride. Sounds fantastic over there at Tokyo Disneyland based off of Peter Pan. Swiss Family Robinson, classic, but also apparently not okay to them. And they go to their advisory council here, including GLAAD, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. GLAAD gives them awards when they put weird stuff in kids' content. So there you go. This is probably one of the most destructive forces against Disney right now, having people come into the company telling them that they should be ashamed of the things that, I'm going to say, formed the company and the things that people love about this company. So I'm not trying to get up on a soapbox about this, but good riddance. Stories matter. I hope that the people who are in charge of it and love doing that job, I hope you find work elsewhere, doing something that doesn't affect the Disney company. So this video right here, and we have removed any music that would have been on the back of it. This came out a little bit after the parental rights in education stuff. I've also clarified some of the audio here, and this is all endorsed by the company. And well, it kind of speaks for itself.
So the slippery slope between these ugly messages, emanating from legislative leaders in our state, and then amplified by our governor, whose spokesperson immediately began calling everyone who opposed this bill, AKA.
I'm here as a mother of two queer children, actually.
This is Karen Burke, who is a Fox executive. I hope that her children are actually grown people here. Otherwise, that is even more terrifying. But let's see what the statistical odds of this family are astronomical, unless there's some linking factor on those two kids.
One transgender child and one pansexual child, and also as a leader. And that was the thing that really got me, because I have heard so much from so many of my colleagues over the course of the last couple of weeks, in open forums and through emails and phone conversations. And I feel a responsibility to speak, not just for myself, but for them.
This is an executive venting her own ideas about the world and her family, and wanting to dictate children's content here for the Walt Disney Company. So this is very much what Reimagine Tomorrow was. This was leaked, though, I have to say. They never denied or asked why these videos got out publicly.
Again, the home of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years, where one of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, oh, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters, and not have to be about gay stories. And so that's been very eye-opening for me.
I would say they still failed on that metric. Most of the time they make it into gay stories. This is a woman who talks about training people to get rid of the classic ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls at the Disney parks, because they hate fun and they hate magic.
We removed all of the gendered greetings in relationship to our live spiels. So we no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've provided training for all of our cast members in relationship to that. So now they know it's hello everyone or hello friends.
Also, people have denied that Disney trained their people to say hello friends. Incredibly creepy to be called friend everywhere in the parks, especially because, and this isn't necessarily all the cast members' fault, when you're telling someone not to do something and you say friend over and over again, it's incredibly grating on the ears. I'm not your friend, pal.
Your buddy guy. Yeah, no, I the friends language really, it's just, I don't know. It can sound very demeaning in some ways when used in the right context, especially in that sing-songy voice that you hear cast members sometimes use when directing large crowds. It used to be folks, and it used to be ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. There was a folksy attitude surrounding it, and now it's distracting. It takes you out of the magic, as multiple people have relayed to me over the years. I do agree with that assessment. Talking about those inclusion standards, as was referred to by the former previous executive that you just showed. Remember too, this was used as a a guide for not just ABC Entertainment, but the entire company. If you look in the Reimagine Tomorrow website, they link to this pretty openly, saying, hey, this is what we want company-wide. This is what we're striving for. And the company was very open about its representation and how you can view the data here, the proportion to whites versus other groups and minorities, for example, in certain creative positions. I mean, this is all on the website. And while it has been scrubbed officially from the web portals and company links that you might find on Google, the internet is forever. That's going to be the problem here.
Really, when we look at this, first of all, those inclusion standards, go back to them really quick and scroll all the way to the bottom so that we can see there. At the bottom, there is a note right here. You are prohibited from asking candidates and talent about their actual or perceived race, religion, color, sexual orientation, gender identity, military or veteran status, age. This is a legal note telling them that they seem to understand that they're doing something that's not quite legal here. This is also another item that if you look it up, it's still out there on Google. It's indexed on Google. But if you hit that link, it'll go back to that generic inclusion.twtdc or whatever it is. But there is the Hollywood Reporter doing us a little bit of a favor. Thank you very much, the Hollywood Reporter. Well, we might not agree on some things. I want to say thank you. 2020 of September 30th. This is them pointing to those inclusion standards. So thanks very much, THR, for that one.
We are in the process of
continue here, though.
Those recorded messages, and so many of you are probably familiar when we brought the fireworks back to the Magic Kingdom. We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we say dreamers of all ages. And so I love the fact that it's opened up the creativity, the opportunity.
This is so insufferable.
Opportunity for our cast members to look at that. We have our cast members working with merchandise, working with food and beverage, working with all of our guest facing areas where perhaps, we want to create that magical moment with our cast members, with our guests. And we don't want to just assume because someone might be in our interpretation, maybe presenting as female, that they may not want to be called princess. So let's think differently about how do we really engage with our guests in a meaningful and inclusive way.
So all of those wonderful, gentlemanly older security guards and cast members that would call a little girl in a princess dress princess. No, it's a good thing that they stopped doing that, according to the Walt Disney Company and Reimagine Tomorrow.
That makes it magical and memorable for everyone.
I love Disney's content.
And here she is, LaToya Raveneau. She did do the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. You can see a couple of episodes of Everything Woke on that channel, Everything Woke About. You can look that one up.
And I grew up watching, all of the classics. They have been a huge, informative part of my life. But at the same time, I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you hear whispers. I'd heard things like, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite.
It was baffling to us as well.
What I had heard on my little pocket of Proud Family, Disney TVA. The showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel I felt it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last they're turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that momentum that I felt that.
So I just want to be clear here. She said something that she was proud of, my not so secret gay agenda. And then this got put on blast. And there was you couldn't any longer say that this is not something that Disney was doing. How dare you notice? Why do you care? Well, Disney cared. Disney cared very much.
Yeah. And she even says that she almost intimates that it was a company directive. They were going hard, right? That they were turning it around. This was more widespread than just isolated in her one department or her one project. She's speaking company or at least division wide.
Agreed.
Sense of I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, of Proud Family. But like, I just was like, no one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me. Yeah.
Okay, so and this guy down here ends up talking about Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which was not out at the time. By the way, the things that she's talking about, putting in the background, there's a moment where somebody opens a hatch into a darkened room, and you see a middle school boy who presents as gender non-conforming, who is sitting in the dark, very close to a male makeup influencer who. Is there? I don't know what's going on in that room, but any show with middle schoolers probably isn't even appropriate to have a male and a female in that situation. But that's the kind of thing you can expect from Proud Family, not exactly catering to kids. One more thing I want to point out here. Let's talk about Reimagine Tomorrow and the attitude that they have.
If the world saw me the way I see me,
not as a criminal, but a kid.
All right, so it seems like they're saying the world sees black children as criminals. I don't like that attitude.
Not a foreigner, but a father.
Again, what's up with that?
Not bossy, but boss. So
People only view incompetent women as bossy, by the way. Just going to point that out.
how do we change how we see?
At Disney, we know that our stories affect how people see themselves.
All right. Well, there's a lot of images flashing up here. I have never appreciated what we would call the soft bigotry of low expectations. The kind of people, white liberals, and maybe we'll extend that a little further out. We'll say white leftists. The idea that women and minorities need help more than anyone else, therefore we have to pander to them. That's one of the blessings of not being a minority or a woman in the United States. Everyone says you're wrong about everything, so no one's going to hand you anything. No one's going to hand you something because, they're patting you on the head for it. It's not how that works. Forgive me for going too far there if I've offended you. The thing I want to focus on here is the imagery that is going on in this girl's eye. This is all content that Disney has made in the past that apparently they don't approve of. So we have an older cartoon with some, looks like cartoon animals. Aladdin, apparently not okay. Let's see what else we got. That's Peter Pan, not okay. That one right there, I was really shocked. Disney does not sell this in any form. For those of you who, do you know what this is from, Vash?
Oh, yes. This is from the original theatrical presentation of Fantasia.
Yeah, this is one of the most awful and racist things that was ever put in a Disney film. They in most versions of Fantasia out there, it's not still in there. It made it into the original film, but I don't know when they cut it out. But that right there, that's just nasty and vile. And yes, it deserves to be cut out. But it's not on any streaming service that Disney has right now. I would actually agree with the censorship of this one.
I guess the question is why depict it here?
Yeah. That's my question too. Like most people would be unaware of it. So there's just shock value for it.
It's almost like they're trying to justify their own existence.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Dumbo, that one's not okay. And there we go. Oh, by the way, and there's Raya and the Last Dragon. Raya and the Last Dragon, we found out after the fact that it has Disney's first trans character. They never actually say that she's trans in the film, but Patty Henderson voiced one of the characters, and Harrison was not born a female. The thing that I find interesting in all of this is Disney is not quite done getting rid of diversity language here, and perhaps we've gone on too long, but I want to point out that they still have right here Tanisha Agramonte, Senior Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer of the Walt Disney Company. I'm imagining she has a contract, but you don't have to enforce a contract for illegal activity. I'm not even calling for her to be fired, but Disney has to do something about that title and has to do something about the functions that she has been put in charge of at this point. Vash, what do you think Disney is going to do from this point? Are they actually getting rid of all these diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives here? Or is this just hiding the ball?
I think the interpretation from the Axios article is correct. The rebranding, until we start seeing real change here, at least at the parks, because, content, that's going to take years, right? But parks, that's daily operation. And there are things that they could do tomorrow if they wanted to really show that we're kind of moving away from all of this. For example, hey, can we get back to ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Can we get back to the use of gendered language in some instances? Can we have zippy doodah on some, recorded audio loops? There are little things that you can do to show, hey, we're moving on, and we're no longer placing such a heavy emphasis on this. But until we start to see those changes, I think this is just a rebranding. I think the deck chairs on the Titanic are just being shifted around when the leak and the hole in the side of the hull is still there. Until we see that shored up and the water removed, well, it's same as always at the Walt Disney Company.
I totally agree with you, Vash, and I couldn't have said it any better myself. There is one thing that I do want to say to the audience here. This is something that I think came from a place and was kind of attached to some good ideas that people should feel like they belong. And that I would say is a very American idea, that this is a country that accepts all people through legal immigration. And as long as you're willing to be a part of that American system, yes, welcome aboard. Welcome to America, land of the free, home of the brave, in God we trust, e pluribus unum, all of that. I love this country, and I think it's a great place for all people to have those opportunities. But I think that they fictionalized some of the things that were working against people in a way that was inappropriate and tried to pretend like things are worse than they are so that they can feel better about fixing problems that didn't really exist in the way that they described them. That's my opinion. It's maybe not your opinion, but that's why it's my opinion. I want to throw this to our audience members. What do you think about this Reimagine Tomorrow situation and the end of these websites? Does that mean it's the complete end of the programs, or are they just sneaking it in a different way? And now poor Vash has to edit this video. So please, if you haven't done it yet, drop a like on this video or a dislike. That's fair. I'm sure that I've said a few things that might have rubbed you the wrong way. Correct me in the comments. This is a learning process. And that being said, if you haven't done it yet, please consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.